everybody, and welcome back to the HabWrap. I'm your host, Harry Rice. You are listening to the friendliest and funniest source for anything and everything related to the Montreal Canadiens. Tonight, the Habs played their last game at the Bell Center. The third to last game of their season as well. Tomorrow we are in Long Island. Just a reminder, we are on a back-to-back. This is the first game. Tomorrow, again, we are in Long Island, or on Long Island, technically. We're playing the Islanders, so that's going to be a fun one. Tonight was Columbus, so unfortunately, our season at the Bell Center ends with an irrelevant team. However, it was a game that definitely could be forgotten, probably. It's one that I'm going to say right off the bat that I am not really concerned about, because the Canadiens came into this game very lackadaisical, if you will. They came into this game very much just, we clinch playoffs, go out, don't try too hard, make sure you don't get hurt, which unfortunately would not be prevented, it seems, because of a certain dirty defenseman on the Blue Jackets. Probably not the one you're thinking of. If you were thinking of the one that does the thing, wow, you either watched the game or I am very impressed with your telepathical skittles. So yeah, seriously though, for the most part, the Canadiens did come into this game. They started off a little bit slow. Got a little better, I'd say, as the game went along. It was a very boring game in stretches, we'll say that. And also, before we even get into the lines, my notes, anything like that, I did want to mention Michael Hage will not be signing with the Canadiens this offseason. He is going to go back to college next year. He wants to work on his leadership skills. He's going to be getting he's guaranteed... Sorry. He's basically guaranteed to get a top-line center role in Michigan next year. So he wants to go back there. He wants to gain his leadership. He wants to work on his body mass. He basically just wants to be a better player by the time he comes to Montreal, to where he can be the immediate second-line center, which he probably will be regardless. But he basically just wants to be a player that can help the Canadiens in a much better sense, rather than just coming in now and maybe him being a little bit rushed. So props to Michael Hage. I'm glad that he will eventually play for the Montreal Canadiens. I'm excited to see what he does at college next year. Obviously, I'm a little bit disappointed. Very selfishly, I did want to see him in a Canadiens uniform and play a game on his birthday, which would, I believe, be the last game of the year on Tuesday. So that would have been awesome. However, unfortunately, that won't happen. But fortunately, it might end up just being better for the Canadiens long term. Of course, we will see. I'm very interested to, again, see what he'll do next year in college and how the Canadiens progress without him. If we're going for a potential rental, which is what I would imagine if we end up looking at a rental, or if we're going to look at just somebody who can fill in that spot naturally, someone like Oliver Kapanen, if we're just going to use him again, if we try Newhook, if we end up re-signing Kirby Dach. I'm very interested to see what the Canadiens do to fill the Michael Hage hole that he was expected to fill headed into next season. I would expect a rental, but we shall see. We do have the draft capital, we do have the prospects to be able to afford to trade for a one-year rental. Someone like a Ryan O'Reilly from Nashville, maybe even a Steven Stamkos, where he might be expensive, fills a second-line center role, and then next year could probably, or not next year, the year after, could probably move down to a third-line role if need be. However, that's for the offseason. Tonight, the game, Montreal and Columbus. We're just going to get right into it. The opening lines for the Montreal Canadiens were Suzuki, already butchered it. Caufield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Texier, Kapanen, Demidov, Newhook, Dano, Dach, and Veleno, Evans, Anderson. On the blue line, it's Matheson, Dobson, Struble, Hudson, and Jack-Eye Engstrom. Of course, starting in net, it is Jakob Dobesh, and Jacob Fowler backs him up. He will get the start in net tomorrow on Long Island. The opening lines for the Blue Jackets were Marchenko, Fantilli, Lundestrom, Sillinger, Coyle, Heinen, Marchment, Jenner, Garland, and Wood, Monahan, Habs legend, Sean Monahan, Johnson, that is Kent Johnson, Werenski, Fabro, Provorov, Matachuk, and Christensen Goodbranson would be on the blue line for said Blue Jackets, and obviously Jet Greaves gets the start net for the Blue Jackets, and Elvis Merzlikins backs him up, as he probably should be used to doing by now, you would think. In the first period, the Habs ice a puck in the opening minute. There was a good hit by Doc to try and spark some energy in the opening seconds. I don't believe that would end up sparking anything, though. The Jackets end up scoring. My feed actually missed it. It was nothing really important. Boone Jenner gets the goal at a minute 13. He gets his 12th of the year from Werenski and Heinen. He scores on a backhand. That sucks. So, yeah, early on, it's 1-0 Blue Jackets. Matheson gives the puck away. Of course he does. Dobesh with a good pair of saves. The shots were 6-0 2 minutes in as the Canadiens go to a penalty kill. Matheson, obviously, is the one getting called. He's called for a hold. Habs get a clear right away. The Jackets press. Habs were kind of fine just cruising by this game. Again, just making sure nobody gets hurt, which would have been perfectly fine. Again, I'm not concerned about this game. If we do it for the remainder of the two games and we just completely coast, don't try to get the Jets going right before the playoffs, that might be a little bit concerning. However, given after Tuesday, we would have 4 days off at minimum, 4 to 5 days until our first playoff game. I think it's safe to say how we end the season very likely won't matter because we're going to be in Tampa Bay for game 1 and 2 anyways. So yeah, Hudson gets a clear eventually. Habs were not pressuring the penalty kill, the power play guys really at all. Deneau has a good hit on Ken Johnson. Anderson ends up killing time as he nearly gets a shorthanded chance. Coyle with a shot. Good pad save by Dobesh. Jack-Eye late uses the boards to clear. The Habs are 1-for-1 on the penalty kill. Shots are 9-0 Columbus 4 minutes in. The Blue Jackets would have a grand total of 3 shots through the remainder of the period. So, safe to say, the Canadiens had a much better second half. Not even a much better 16 minutes, or 15 minutes, if you will, than the Blue Jackets in the first period. The second line press, Demidov ends up getting pressured. Hudson has a nice spinorama. Texie has a shot, but that's blockered away. That is Greaves' first look for the Blue Jackets. Sorry, lost my spot. The top line comes out. Caufield finds Suzuki just off the corner of the post. That looked like it was in. However, it's not. Back the other way, the Blue Jackets score. Charlie Coyle, with his 19th of the year, makes it 2-0. Matheson on the ice. Both him and Deneau lose. Coyle, who's right by the side of the net, and he just puts it home. Coyle, like I said, with his 19th, he scores from Christensen and Marchment. So just 5:42 in. It looks early on like the Canadiens might be in for a blowout. Of course, I think we all remember the 10-0 blowout from, was it the irony? Was it 2016-17 or 17-18? I think it was 17-18. The year that we got blown out 10-0. And then went on to blow out Colorado and Detroit in that same year. Or I think they'd done so earlier in the year. Either way, it was like a 2-year span where that happened. So, yeah, the Canadiens, unfortunately, down 2-0 early on. It looks like they are probably just going to be fine just giving the game to Columbus, which, again, fair enough. If the Canadiens, don't win this game, it doesn't matter at all. So, yeah, it's 2-0. The Jackets get a 2-on-1. There's a good layout by Engstrom to prevent a pass across that would have made it 3-0, which, Jesus, that might have been a little bit scary. But a good layout by Engstrom, who, that's probably the only real impressive thing he had done all night. Habs try to get the offense going. Jackets in return, though, have some good defense. Matheson can't receive a pass at the line. The Jackets try to rush back the other way. Struble has the turnover in his zone, sorry. The Habs do recover to stop that, though, so shout out to Jaden Struble there. Where am I? Sorry. Both teams just kind of went through the motions halfway through the period. It wouldn't last long, and there was these weird stretches of about 2 to 3 minutes where neither team really seemed to pressure all that much. Dump and chase, skate out to neutral, dump and chase, get to neutral, dump and chase. There's a weird batch of like 3 or 4 times in this game, it felt like, where Habs dump it, Jackets get it, Jackets dump it, Habs get it. It was just a weird back and forth, which I get is common, but just very much felt like it was just meh, whatever, let's kill time. And yeah, it was tough to be able to care about games this late into the season, even when the Canadiens are in a playoffs, especially when they're already in a playoff spot. The game... these late games really don't matter. We're not going to have home ice advantage into the first round. So yeah, again, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you just got to try and get through them and power through them. Top line almost get a rush. Caufield gets found. He goes back to Suzuki. Good sticks, though, by the Columbus top line to not let the Canadiens get anything. With 8:30 left, the Habs ice a puck. They get a rush going, and they score. Yeah. All of a sudden, it's 2-1. Josh Anderson with his 14th of the season. He snaps a 9-game pointless drought. He scores his 14th of the year from Evans and Hudson. Evans snapping an 8-game pointless drought. Hell yeah, good for him. And yeah, with 8:12 left, Andy just left all alone right in front. Hudson finds Evans, who goes across, and Evans just has to essentially tap it home, make sure it gets high on Greaves. It does, and it's 2-1, just like that. Habs are back in it. The goal did seem to wake them up. They were skating quite well after the goal. They went from just, all right, whatever goal to, or from whatever game to, all right, you know what, let's go try and win this thing for a little while. The Habs do press. Suzuki finds Caufield, but the one-timer gets saved. Slafkovsky has 2 very good chances right in front, but both get stopped by Greaves with the pads. Hudson finds Demidov right in front. That ends up just wide. Hudson then gets cross-checked wide, hard by Goodbranson, and that does get called with 5 minutes left. The Habs get a 2-minute power play. Demidov ends up fanning on a one-timer early. The Jackets clear. The Habs try to enter. Jackets were pressuring them quite well, though. There is a missed hand pass, which results in a Columbus clear. Second unit comes out late. The Habs are 0 for 1 on the power play tonight. Texier has a shot off of Greaves and just comes out of the zone. It's off of a sudden rush entry. Good there for Texier. Texier looks like he should be a decent 3rd or 4th liner next year. More than likely, I'd imagine 4th line energy type player, but obviously, we'll see. Jackets have an icing, 25 seconds left. Doc from behind the net. Deneau gets it. Centers to Newhook. Shot gets saved with a minute left, and we're going to have a bit of a scrum here because Doc gets slashed by Fabro. Doc does not let anybody bully him. He goes right back at it with Favreau. Everybody's paired up. We get a scrum at the buzzer, and we're going to start the second period 4-on-4. Doc and Fabro both get called 2 for roughing. So the Habs down after the first period, but the shots, very respectable. 12-8 for the Blue Jackets. Again, they had 3 shots in the remaining 16 minutes. The Canadiens looked good at the end of that period. Really, for the final half, the Canadiens played very well. Aside from the power play, I thought that they actually looked relatively okay, especially for a team that knows that they're going to make the playoffs and don't really need to try all that much in these late games here. So, in the second period, Struble in front just misses the net off of a nice touch pass to him. Hudson has a nice dangle at neutral, in the neutral zone, I should say. Habs do set up. Slafkovsky has a shot gloved and held. And Columbus, a minute 24, they make it 3-1. Marchenko just risks it by Dobesh. It was a part screen, but that's definitely one I think he needs to save. Marchenko with his 27th of the year. Shout out Kirill Marchenko. Good steal for the Blue Jackets. What was he, a fifth round pick? I gotta check that up real quickly because no, I'm not trying to look up Kirill Kaprizov. Thank you, Google. I know the Blue Jackets are irrelevant, but no, second round pick. Yeah, probably safe to say Marchenko probably goes in a first round redraft, especially of 2018. Shit, he might go top 10 in that draft. I do not remember anyone who's in that draft. I know there's a couple guys better than him probably, but shit, Marchenko probably goes top 10 in that draft. But yeah, Marchenko, again, scores from Provorov and Fantilli. So unfortunately, the Blue Jackets do score another goal early in the second. The spoiler, but who gives a shit about this game? It's, again, late in the season. It doesn't matter. The eventual game winner. Habs go offside at a minute 57. That'll basically end the 4-on-4. Engstrom not looking too great early in the second. Then again, most of the Habs defensemen weren't that good at this point. Monahan gets found. Dobesh makes a good save on a near break. Jack ends up starting a rush the other way, but nothing comes of it. That would have been awesome to see Jacka get a goal on the rush. Would have really liked that. Habs do try to rush again. Jackets playing good D. The top line have a rush. They almost drive to the net, but the Jackets figuring out how to play defense against this Canadiens team, early on at least. Habs do get some pressure. What the fuck? Oh, I think I know what I meant to put, but I put a clear horse Anderson, but I think I meant, a clear hits Anderson. I did not mean that there is a clear horse. Anderson just got on a horse and started riding it during the game. No, there's a clear that hits Anderson. Jack-Eye eventually ices that one, unfortunately. He was just inches away from the line. He was held out for 2.5 minutes. Sellinger ends up hitting the post, and the Habs end up on the penalty kill. Kapanen gets called for a hook there. That sucks. Habs on the penalty kill. Evans has a poke at a cross-crease look. Dobesh makes a great save again on Kirill Marchenko. That one's off the mask. He ends up getting play stopped there. Jacket cycle after a clear. Deneau pokes one, and that's just out. That was at the line. Good to see. Habs are, there's a Marchenko wrister wide and all the way out. Habs are 2 for 2 on the penalty kill tonight, and they end up scoring afterwards. Dobesh needs to make the glove save there off of a Struble turnover at the wall. It finds Monahan, and he scores his 13th. Shout out Goudreau. He scores his 13th goal of the year from Kent Johnson to make it 4-1 for the Jackets at 10:36. So Canadiens are going to lose this one. You're not going to find a way to beat Jet Greaves 5 times, despite the Blue Jackets being absolute trash in their last 10 games. Or last 11, they're like, 1-9-1? There's something 1-6-1. There's something crazy like that in the last handful of games. They have not been good at all. This game was definitely one that they needed, and one that Montreal was going to have eventually. They were going to have a stinker, a game that everybody just forgets about in about a week. So, yeah. Jackets ice the puck with 8:26 left. I did say the Habs would need one soon if they think they can come back. We'll see. Doc gets tripped on a break. There's no call, obviously. Why would there be? Canadiens deserved a power play. Why would they get one? There's a Demidov shot off of Branson's foot. Jackets ice it with 6:57. Habs then ice it at 6:33. Slavkovsky is all over Renski during a pressuring look for the Blue Jackets. They do eventually send a shot out of play. The Habs would end up getting a chance after another minute and a half stuck in their own zone. Habs were stuck at 10 shots, though, for a long time. They did not get many in the second. Late they'd get a couple, but they had a grand total of 5. They were outshot 14-5 in the second. It was not at all a good second period for the Canadiens. So you might be thinking, why am I not calling them up? Oh my god. Okay, so this isn't breaking news, but this is I'm just seeing it. I'm just seeing this while I'm recording, but I was just sent this. The Canadiens look to be calling up David Reinbacher. So, yeah, I should mention it's around this time. It's actually probably a good time to mention this. Yeah, it's probably a good time to mention this. Dobson at some point blocked a shot and he would go down. Yeah, he wouldn't return to the game. Don't panic, though. I do believe it's just for precautionary reasons. I believe with this Reinbacher call-up, it's see what he can do in the lineup. I imagine he gets the last 2 games of the year. Yeah, you got to imagine he probably gets paired with Hudson, and then they move possibly Struble to the first line. I wouldn't really want them to, but Maybe. And also, Dobson, just rest him. No need to have him potentially re-aggravate the injury right before the playoffs. It's a smart thing to do. So yeah, David Reinbacher is getting called up. And you know what? Hell yeah, I'm all for that. I've been waiting since he got drafted to see how Reinbacher can do in the NHL. Of course, as we know, he had the injury in preseason, 38 seconds or whatever it was into his first preseason game. Missed a lot of last season, this season, got into some preseason. I thought looked good, but just obviously, sent him down because there wasn't really a spot for him, unfortunately. Next year, there probably will be. I'm excited to see what he can do. But yeah, so Dobson, like I said, went down at some point. I can't imagine this is a Gooley situation where he's out, but they don't tell us until just secretly putting him on the IR. You got to imagine this is just, all right, well, Dobson's season is done. Rest him for the final two. Get him back in for the playoffs. So that's what I imagine that is. So again, Habs were stuck on 10 shots for a while. The Blue Jackets were really working them over, and it showed on the score sheet. Johnson and Doc get into a slight shoving match after a glove save. A little bit of chippiness during the game, not a ton of it, but it was nice to see a little bit of it. Veleno has a shot off the pad with 3:40 left. That's the first Canadian shot in, it felt like over 10 minutes, but I have no clue. Somewhere around there, probably. I say that, and someone's going to tell me in the comments, well, Harry, actually, it was the first shot in 16 minutes, to which I'm going to say, God, why did you speak? I didn't need to feel any worse about this game. No, but seriously, thank you to anybody who actually does let me know how long it was between those shots. Fantilli and Struble get engaged in a puck battle. The Habs' fourth line is hemmed in for 2 minutes. Struble is out for 3 minutes, and with a minute 03, Habs get a power play. Jenner blatantly trips up Hudson without the puck. That obviously is going to get called. Habs cycle. There's a Demidov one-timer. He doesn't get all of it. It eventually does get cleared. Caufield has a shot looking for a tip. That's a no-go at the line, unfortunately. Habs will have 57 seconds of power play time to start the third. Shots are, I believe, let me get these accurately because it's going to bug me if I don't. Shots are 26-12 for the Blue Jackets, and the Canadiens are down 4-1 after the first period. Damn it. In the third period, what would happen? Not a whole lot. All right, let's get to the stats. No, well, there's some stuff that happens in the third. Slafkovsky has a shot saved. Suzuki tries to center for Matheson. There's no go there. Unfortunately, Habs are 0 for 2 on the power play tonight. Sillinger out of the box. He gets found. There's a good save by Dobesh. Dobson, it's announced at this point that he wouldn't return. This is where I mentioned that he suffered an injury on the shot block. Again, with Reinbacher coming up, you gotta imagine his season is done. Not in a bad way, in a resting him up way for the playoffs type of way. So, Habs end up back on the power play a short while after. Anderson gets tripped up. He was a little bit slow to get up, might have bashed his knee on the ice. Seemed fine after a moment. It was just one of those, ow, this hurts, give me a second, please, and they all obliged. The second unit would start out there, so yeah, the Canadiens at this point, fully admitting, just, all right, we're going to lose, just throw the second unit out, see what they can do. Provorov clears with the top line out eventually, and 51. What a fucking shot by Cole Caufield. Give him an inch, and he'll take it. Caufield on a rush rips it by Jet Greaves, and the Canadiens all of a sudden are only down 4-2. Cole Caufield with a hell of a goal for his 51st of the year, his 51st. Suzuki with the primary assist. He gets his 99th point. Now he's one away, baby. One away. Long Island Suzuki is your bitch, I guess. Or your Suzuki's bitch, I think. How that phrasing would go. Slafkovsky with the other assist. He is now up to 72. Remember when his upside was a 60-point player? I sure as hell don't, because it never was only 60 points. Yeah, Caufield, like I said, he scores. Habs were, I believe, 1 for 3 on the power play. Yes, they are 1 for 3 on the power play tonight. That's exciting. So yeah, Matheson and Fantilli right in front. They went at it with each other in front of the net. Both men cross-check each other. Matheson drops them. Fantilli doesn't. Matheson throws some punches. Love to see that at least. That's always exciting when Matheson's able to feed someone who deserves some punches. Feed them some punches. Unfortunately, that also means Matheson is a fucking moron because while Matheson and Fantilli both get 2 for roughing, Matheson gets the extra. So, yeah, to quote Liquid, Chris, shout out my fellow Christorians. So, Canadiens are on the penalty kill. The Jackets go offside after a clear to center. Jack-Eye with a nice hit. Andy and Deneau end up getting a 2-on-1. Andy with the shot. That gets saved. Anderson finds Deneau, but a good defensive play stops that rush. And they end up scoring off of a scramble in front. Kent Johnson buries it after Veleno shoves a man. Johnson gets shoved by Veleno after Dobech makes a pad saved. Jenner is the one who puts it home. It's called a good goal. The refs talk it over, and very quickly it is confirmed what all Habs fans are saying, because we're always right. The pad was pushed in by Johnson, and it was. So the refs called it a no goal. Bonus actually calls his timeout to look it over, see if they want to challenge it. But alas, no, they decide not to. They're up 4-2. They don't need to risk it because because what am I trying to say here? Because if they lose the timeout and the Canadiens score, sure, the game goes from being 5-2 potentially, but if the Canadiens score on that power play, all of a sudden it's 4-3, and you don't want that. You'd rather just stay up by 2. Sorry, Jesus, they were up by 4, challenging a no-goal play. That would definitely be something, but no. Like I said, you're not gonna risk it, especially in a game that you need to win. You don't want to potentially shift momentum like that. So, yeah, the Habs end up being 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. I believe at this point it's 3 for 3. Struble with a nice hit on a man behind the net. The game is getting a little bit chippy. Habs look like they wanted to try and come back. Also, I will confirm, by the way, Eric Engels did tweet out, as of recording 36 minutes ago, that the equipment hanging in the Habs room was Carrier, Laine, and Dobson. So Laine is officially done as a Montreal Canadien. Carrier, obviously we know he was not returning until the playoffs. And Dobson, that does confirm they are shutting him down for the last 2 games. He will very likely get in the lineup for Game 1. Shout out my correspondent for sending me this very useful information. And I don't mean that in a sarcastic way either. Genuinely, that is good to know that what I was saying earlier wasn't bullshit, and it actually was legit that the Canadiens were, actually calling up Reinbacher so Dobson can rest. And then Werenski decides to cross-check Demidov right in the numbers into the boards. Fuck Zach Werenski. I wanted somebody to slash him in the wrists. Would have been very nice to have happen, but unfortunately nobody does. Struble and Jack-Eye, though, do go after him, but the Blue Jackets come in to defend their superstar. By the way, Toronto, that's how you do it. That's how you defend a star player, is you go after the guy who takes him out with a dirty play. Not that tough. Refs do call the cross-check. Habs get a power play. Werenski gets 2 for interference. Somehow not 5 in a game. That's genuinely disgusting. Suzuki does have a good shot off of Greaves. It just trickles wide of the net. That almost made it 4-3. Slavkovsky with a look. You challenge that goal. Canadiens score on the power play, it's 4-3. If Suzuki scores there, it's 4-4, and all of a sudden, you went from having a very comfortable lead to being tied all of a sudden. So, probably the best case scenario for Rick Bowness, again, to not challenge that goal from earlier. Habs do look for a rush. They just end up cycling it. Coyle ends up going shorthanded. There's a 2-on-1 after Slav fans on a look. Texier gets called for a hook on Coyle again with 40 seconds left. So the Habs end up 1 for 4 on the power play. That sucks. Habs try to get something. There's some good Jackets defense on the power play. Habs trying to prevent a trap, or I should say on the penalty kill, to prevent any Jackets rushes. Playing a little bit of a trap, not a big version of the trap, but just, the Jackets do end up getting in, but they have to cycle it, and Coyle ends up scoring on a deflection right in front of the net. He gets his 20th of the year. I was going to say 20th of the night. That is not right. If Coyle scores 20 goals in a game, either we are playing with an empty net, or both teams are saying, you know what, screw defense, just have all the 3-on-0s you want to each other, which, to be fair, would be a very entertaining hockey game if both teams had either of those options. But yeah, Coyle scores on a deflection, his second of the night, there it is, and he scores from Marchenko and Fantilli. So Kirill Marchenko with the very rare assist. Of course, anyone who remembers Marchenko a couple years back with the, as we now call it, the Marchenko run of 24 goals and 2 assists he had in his first year. Absolutely insane. The dude's first year in the NHL. I'm sure he has more assists. I mean, yeah, he is. Never mind, that's actually his 40th assist of the year. So, yeah, the surprisingly not elusive Kirill Marchenko assist. But regardless, it is 5-0. Yeah, the Canadiens suck so bad they took out both their goals. No, it's 5-2. The Habs are, I believe, now 3 for 4 on the penalty kill. Give me some more. 5-6 Nike kicks. All right, Habs try to get to the net. They were just fanning on shots. By the way, I should point out, Coyle scores halfway through the period. There was really not much to note after that goal. Both teams were basically just settling in, saying, all right, game's over. We all know it. Let's just, truce Werenski and Fantilli for being annoying pieces of shit. We won't injure any of your players. So basically, the Blue Jackets blackmailing the Canadiens into not playing hockey. I'm excited to see how many Blue Jackets fans think I'm serious. Demidov was back on the bench after he went off for repairs after the Werenski cross-check. He was bleeding, mostly from the nose. You got to imagine that it was probably just maybe his nose wouldn't stop bleeding, so they had to wait a little bit to get it all cleaned up. So regardless, 5 minutes go by without many notes. Habs were trying to get on the net, but just fanning on shots. I don't know if I mentioned that. But 5 minutes left. There's really nothing. Both teams kind of wasting time. Jack-Eye ends up taking out Fantilli after falling over. Nobody was going after Werenski, unfortunately. I say the second unit, but I mean the second line with 2 minutes left. Some good pressure. Demidov with 2 good one-timers. Both get saved by Jet Greaves. He had a pretty decent game tonight. He didn't need to be amazing, aside from really those shots by Demidov late. But he played a good game, I thought. Jackets ice the puck right after those chances. Habs do press. Doc has a chance, but that hits the post off a cycle. Final shots are 33-23 for the Jackets. They win it 5-2, not realizing that they're already eliminated from the playoffs. How? Well, because Philly won tonight, and, well, they're probably going to win against Montreal, so they've eliminated the Blue Jackets already. I say that, and we're going to beat Philly 8-0, and Columbus is going to get in by winning their last 2 games. I guarantee it, which, if so, you're very welcome, Blue Jackets fans. And if so, piss off, Philly fans. Nobody likes you. So, yeah. Wow, Harry, you're really aggressive tonight. Why is that? Who likes Philadelphia fans? Can you blame me? I would act genuinely rather Columbus, because at least they have a chance to take out Pittsburgh. Plus, if we know anything from previous Pittsburgh-Columbus series, they're usually pretty fun. I don't think they've had just the one. I think they've had 2, right? Regardless, that does it for the game. The Canadiens now a very poor 47-23-10, very disappointing. No, obviously, still very, very good record. Unfortunately, that does end the hope of getting to 50 wins this year. Yes, very selfish, I know, but come on, who can resist saying, hey, my team had 50 wins last year? That's always fun. But regardless, either way, obviously, again, we're making the playoffs. We're probably going on the road to start the first round, which surprisingly, I'm fine with, considering we're almost equally as good at home as on the road. We're pretty solid at home. We're somehow even better on the road. We're 24-14-2 at home, which is still pretty good. 23-8-8 on the road. So, yeah. And actually, that's even before counting tonight's game. We're actually 24-15-2. So sorry, excuse me. Yeah. So again, the Canadiens will start the first round more than likely on the road. Yeah, considering that Tampa Bay plays, I know they play tomorrow. I'm pretty sure they do. No, they only play Monday and Wednesday. Wow, they play the Red Wings and the Rangers. Realistically, they should go 2-0 in those two games, so the Canadiens will be starting the first round on the road, unfortunately. However, might be a blessing in disguise if you're Montreal. We shall see, obviously. So yeah, that does it for the actual game recap. Let's do the stats, and then we're going out of here. Obviously, let's do this. Nick Suzuki obviously leads the Canadiens. He has 28 goals, 71 assists for 99 points. He needs 1 point in the last 2 games of the year. I can't imagine they're going to scratch him because of the Ironman thing, but you never know. I doubt they will, but still, very fascinating to see what they do. Cole Caufield, call him Goal Caufield now, 51 goals, 37 assists for 88 points. Lane Hutson, 12 goals, 64 assists for 76 points. By the way, I should mention, obviously, Cole Caufield, Mr. Saturday Night. He scores on Saturday. Duh. No shit. Lane with the 76 points, by the way. Yaroslavsky, 30 goals, 42 assists for 72 points. Ivan Demidov, 18 goals, 43 assists for 61 points. Sorry. Noah Dobson, his season is ended. I guess technically, unfortunately, injured. Again, probably could play tomorrow, but they have shut him down until the first game of the playoffs, so I guess technically hurt? I guess. 12 goals, 35 assists for 47 points. Oliver Kapanen, 22 goals, 15 assists, 37 points. Mike Matheson, 7 goals, 30 assists for 37 points. Noah Dobson is on a 21-game goalless drought. 22, actually. Sorry, I believe now. 22. Oh, man. Oliver Kapanen on an 8-game pointless drought. Mike Matheson on a 5-game pointless drought. Zach Bolduc, 11 goals, 17 assists, 28 points. He is on a 7-game pointless drought. Alex Newhook, 12 goals, 11 assists for 23 points. He is on a 5-game pointless drought. Josh Anderson, 14 goals, 9 assists for 23 points. He snaps a 9-game pointless drought. Jake Evans, 11 goals, 12 assists, 23 points. He snaps a 8-game pointless drought. Alexander Carrier, who is unfortunately still hurt, with 7 goals, 15 assists for 22 points. Brendan Gallagher, 6 goals and 16 assists for 22 points. He is on an 8-game pointless drought and a 20-game goalless drought. Alexander Texier with 8 goals, 12 assists for 20 points. He is on a 9-game pointless drought. And am I worried about all this depth having point droughts going into the playoffs? No, because the playoffs, everything's wiped out. Kirby Dach, 8 goals and 6 assists for 8 goals, 6 assists for 14 points. He is on a 7-game pointless drought. Phil Deneau, 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points. Jaden Struble, he has 2 goals and 10 assists for 12 points. He's on a 4-game pointless drought. Caden Gooley, who is unfortunately still hurt, he's got 2 goals, 8 assists for 10 points. He's on an 8-game pointless drought. So Caden Gooley could play on the road trip, the final 2 games of the year. One of them, I would assume. We'll see. Yeah. Sammy Blais, before he got sent back down to Laval, had 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points with the Canadiens. Joe Veleno, 2 goals and 2 assists for 4 points. He is on a 21-game pointless drought. Arbor Jacki with a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. Oh no, he's on a 4-game pointless drought. Oh no. Owen Beck with a goal and a 7-game pointless drought before he got sent back down to Laval. Patrick Laine, Florian Jacki, Jared Davidson, who are both in Laval, and Adam Engstrom all have an assist this year. Arbor Jacki obviously leads the Canadiens with 7 fights. Josh Anderson has 4 fights. Jaden Struble has 2. Brendan Gallagher, Kirby Dach, Caden Gooley, Joe Veleno, and Florian Jacki all also have a fight this year. Jakub Dobeš leads the Canadiens goaltenders with a 29-9-4 record, a 2.75 goals against average, and a .903 save percentage. Surprisingly, his save percentage only went down by a single point, which a little bit surprising considering the game tonight and how it went, but you know what? I am not going to question it. I'm just going to say, okay. I'm sorry. Samuel Montembeault with a 10-8-4 record, a 3.43 goals against average, and an 8.72 save percentage. And Jacob Fowler with an 8.6-2 record, a 2.52 goals against average, and a 9.04 save percentage, along with the lone shutout for the Montreal Canadiens this year. So yeah, that is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you are on YouTube, hit the follow button. If you are on Spotify and the Amazon, wherever the hell you might be listening to the podcast on. I will say, though, you might want to get onto the YouTube because I might as well just say it now. We get no viewership on Spotify. We're just going back to YouTube next year, so yeah, we will be a YouTube exclusive show once again. It's unfortunately probably the smart thing to do. Also, please don't forget to share the podcast with anybody who you think might enjoy it, such as a fellow Montreal Canadiens fan, a hockey fan who's maybe looking for a Canadiens podcast, or someone who you think just might enjoy listening to some fat kid from Quebec talk about the Montreal Canadiens for 30 to 40 minutes after every game. So, yeah, again, that is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Harry Rice, and always remember, no matter how good we were like last year, how pretty good we are like this year, or how great we're going to be in the future, go Habs go, Allez Montreal, and say with me, everybody, c'est la boue!